Hey everybody, welcome back to Rebootleggers. This is a comedy podcast where we reboot everything. I'm Scott Owen.
I'm Frank Serra.
And really, you can just think of us as the Abbott and Costello of reboots, except...
We're in color.
Yeah, I guess that's why. I was like, this actually works a little bit.
And hopefully we're as funny as they were.
Yeah. Now, up until this point in our show's long and varied history, when we've said we reboot everything, we've been bending the truth, I guess.
We haven't been flexing the powers that we claim to have.
We've basically only been rebooting media. And it turns out other things can be rebooted. And given that today, at the time of this recording, is Sunday, February 4th, in the year of our Lord 2018, that is football day in America, where they play the biggest football game, the Super Bowl. And we realized that we could use our powers for something more than just our help me out, Frank. What's our altruistic goal here?
We're going to bring our improvement skills to the real world.
Yeah. There's a lot of issues with football right now. Mainly people are upset that it's turning brains into pudding, and some other things just based on the anger I've seen from other people watching the sport.
Yeah, there's a lot of things.
And so we figured, what if we reboot football, give them football 2?
Football 2. Working title.
I guess if it's a reboot, we'd still just call it football. Just like football starting over.
We could call it football, but like it would be like F-U with an umlaut, ball.
You need that umlaut. It can't be an accent because then it's just soccer.
Mm-hmm. Or, I mean, we'll figure it out. Or like an emoji of a sneaker and then the word ball. We'll figure it out.
The sport is also, in other countries, they refer to American football as gridiron football or just gridiron. So I think maybe when we reboot it...
Oh, we can do something with that.
We get that adopted as what Americans also call it. Because let's be clear.
That's really cool.
As much as Americans stereotypically hate the sport of soccer absolutely is the sport that deserves to be called football.
Well, hold on.
Yes, my American friend.
We are sitting in America right now, so let's talk about football too. Let's keep this on topic.
No. I'm just saying, I think rebooting it by getting all of America to call it gridiron, like get Americans...
Well, so let's gridiron is just a cooler name.
It's a much cooler name, first of all, and of the two sports, the one that uses your feet for literally everything should be called football.
Well, I mean, maybe we can make the term football matter more in football too.
Oh, I see. Okay. All right. So we're getting some nugs percolating here.
So let's we don't have I guess we don't, usually when we're rebooting a piece of media, we kind of talk about the source material, but
y'all know football.
I think we're just going to go.
I don't care who you are in America. If you live here, you know football. And don't give me any of that like, oh, it's sports ball day, there's a sports team fight. Like,
yes. Make fun of our listeners, Scott.
Nobody likes on purpose ignorance, Frank. Like, you can not like football, but...
So let's talk about gridiron and feet. So I had two ideas that don't work together now. But so if we're going to go with gridiron, we could have mech suits or, machine-assisted operation in some way.
Yeah, is gridiron a term that exists outside of this? It is. And
do you mean in the world of football too, or in the real world right now?
In the real world, I'm curious why they call it gridiron.
I think it just refers to...
A gridiron is a frame of parallel bars or beams, typically in two sets arranged at right angles in particular. A frame of parallel metal bars used for grilling meat or fish over an open fire.
A football field of spaced parallel lines. That's like definition 3. Okay.
Okay, so they call it gridiron because of the way the field looks.
Yeah,
it looks like a.
It looks like.
So I think a gridiron is that also what the British call Like a grill, like actually grilling
I
meats.
can't really speak for that. It does sound like you just made it up.
I didn't.
So I had this mech suit idea.
Yeah, and you want them to be iron.
We're not talking about Alien, right? Like you're not getting into like a giant mechanical monster.
Are you talking about Mech Warrior or more of like an exoskeleton assisted
yeah,
muscles?
exoskeleton is better. Machine assisted performance.
So like those
because we do want to bring down injuries, right? But we also want harder hitting.
Mm-hmm.
And armor plates really seem like the way to go with that.
Yeah,
and hydraulics.
So here's one of the things that we definitely need to fix is football players keep getting concussions and they keep giving them just like doofier and more cushy helmets. But the problem is the things that happens when you get a concussion a lot of time has nothing to do with the cushion around your head. It's your brain suspended in fluid kind of spins a little bit, just a teeny bit.
Yeah, so what we need to do, okay. We need to transfer players' consciousness into completely metal bodies with no brain pans.
Oh, shoot.
And then they can just destroy each other,
that would
right?
be he has no brain pan. That could be very good. I was also thinking maybe if every player's helmet, every player somehow wears like a deployable airbag around their head. No.
So like a really puffy circlet.
I want it to be super puffy, like
around the dome.
It needs to be, but here's the thing: it needs to be squishy enough that their momentum actually gets slowed. Because those helmets, that's the problem.
What if instead? Well, see, if our exosuits had like stabilizers, right?
Yeah, we need
a gyro. What if everybody is in a big hamster wheel? Is that too much?
I like it. We need to make it so that their brains are not hitting the inside of their skulls.
My consciousness transfer idea would just completely take care of that.
That would do.
Are we gonna get in? I mean, how do we want to go with this? Right. I kind of like the machine athletics idea. We could also just make it a different game without tackling, but I feel like
here's the thing
I need hitting.
Yeah, we need to see.
I don't watch non-hitting sports.
We live in a world where we don't have like you don't just get to go like fight your neighbor because you want his stuff.
Oh yeah, dude.
But you can watch a sports team that you like fight his sports team.
Because I want to be careful that football 2 has to still be a like team sport, right?
It has to be a team sport. It has to be watchable.
It can't just turn into multi-person boxing matches because that's not football.
There needs to be rules that people can create statistics about.
Gotta have those football. We're gonna make football 2 cards. Those are gonna come back like baseball cards.
Football 2 cards, yeah. I actually don't know that. I think baseball cards might still exist. Weirdly,
they do.
And like why? But I digress. Maybe okay. So if we're doing consciousness transfer into robots, I do think we should make the field an actual gridiron, like made out of iron.
Oh, 3-dimensional too, right?
Now hold up. 3-dimensional.
You've got kind of a 9x9x9 vertices.
You want to make it a cage.
Iron cube, but you play the crossbars go all the way across, so it's more like
you're dangling.
A jungle gym kind of thing.
So they could like climb up the sides. So it's not 0G. It's just any direction.
It's just any direction as long as you don't leave the cube. Because the literal gridiron.
Okay. The literal gridiron. Now,
and you've got your feet jets, you've got your hand jets. Think Iron Man to kind of stabilize and move around. You can swing off of bars. You can duck behind bars to block tackles, which will be jet assisted.
Jet assisted tackle.
The ball is probably it can't be magnetic because then it would stick to the gridiron. But there's like the ball will have like a socket we need a name for these machines. These players are the players, the machines, and then the pilots are the brains.
No, I thought if it's a consciousness transfer, then the players are like they are the robot.
Yeah,
and the pilots, player.
I guess we'll just call them the suits the uniforms. Now a uniform is a robotic body with your mods. Because I think you have your body. It's not identical robots, right? You have like mods.
Yeah. Okay. I think there's something there. There's a case to be made for that because not all football players are identical, but we also don't want to make it about like who can mod the best robot because then that becomes just, who has the most money. It becomes
too much like real life where the rich teams get better stuff.
Right. So
then we're just talking about pilot skill, which it's fair.
Yeah.
How about instead of custom mods, there is a different uniform robot for each like actual position, right? Like there's a wide receiver model of uniform that is like faster but lighter and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only quarterback. I don't know a ton of football positions.
So this is a world in which we have consciousness transfer technology. So I have no problem also imagining that in this world, your ability to control this robot is only as good as your own physical prowess. So you do have to do all the football training outside.
So we're talking like Pacific Rim Jaeger.
You need to, you got to get into the drift.
Oh, okay. You're in the Omni Chamber. I love it.
But also, like, if you aren't physically able to run those speeds, then neither can your robot.
Well, I think that
maybe it's
when
all
a
like
person is moving their legs, the robot is like using their jets and stuff.
Yeah, so the robot's all proportionately like
the robot. It scales proportionally, but the robot has a max speed that's much higher than human running speed.
It's much higher than a human, but if a physically faster,
it just scales proportional to the input.
You're right. So it's basically we just scale everything up so that the game itself is much faster and more exciting, but also there's still skill levels and
they still need to have fit training, etc.
And okay, so here's the other thing. I think we might want to reboot some of the rules. And here's the thing about football. It stops and starts a lot.
So much.
And I would like it to somehow be more nonstop. And the biggest thing that causes those stops is the commercials. So if we could somehow
NASCAR.
Huh? Yeah, NASCAR, they do show commercials.
All the uniforms, all their bodies just have stickers on them for the sponsors, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the ball is sponsored by a different company.
Yeah, because there's no way we're going to get rid of commercials.
Yeah, and then every goalpost, in between the goalposts, is kind of a holographic banner ad that when the goal scores, it like lights up and stuff.
That's pretty good. I think maybe too, just there's like a commercial being projected on the bottom surface of the cage at all times.
Yes, which is always in view of the camera.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so we need to get into some rules, but I want to talk about. So they're in a cube a bit. Well, it's football size length, right? It's basically if you took a football field, put two cages on each end of it, and then on the top, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the sides. So it's a long 300-yard box. Nope, 300-foot box. Maybe we make it 300 yards just because they're robots.
Because they're robots. Yeah. They need room to maneuver.
Yeah, and because they can go fast and stuff. So they can only climb up the sides and front and back, right?
Mm-hmm.
Will the robots? How tall are we talking? Can the robots jump up to the top?
I in my head, I want to say they can jump unassisted, like 2/3. Like they'll need to like grab a pole and then like swing to get to the top, kind of.
Now, is the bottom surface of the gridiron also metal?
I think it's got to be, right?
Right.
To withstand the impact.
The way a gridiron works, it's like, a mesh. It's bars one way laid on top of bars another way, so it's a bunch of like right angle squares. Is this gridiron now suspended in midair so that they could fall through those holes, or is it
Hell
on the
yes.
ground?
And underneath is kind of a lava pit / penalty box.
And okay. And robots are allowed to like exit the gridiron, but they have to come back in within like 10 seconds. Otherwise, it's a turnover.
Yeah, that's good because they if they fall through, then they can come back up or they like swing outside.
So
you cannot bring the ball outside the gridiron. Obviously,
you can't bring the ball out.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I even think that there's going to be some shenanigans. So, say someone holding the ball tries to leave the gridiron with it, like their body will go outside, but then the ball will just like hard stop, and their robot suit will like detach from it.
That is a fun restriction because then you can have some cool strategies where guys are hopping out of the cage to try to like get up on it and pop back in different spots.
Yeah. Or you instead of tackling somebody, maybe you do a flying kick at them and try to knock them out, but then the ball will stay in.
Yeah. This isn't so much a comedy podcast anymore today. This is just
Well, so I did have a suggestion because we're
you want to make it a comedy.
I don't want to make it a comedy. I do want to introduce the concept of our Football 2 : Gridiron with a short film.
Oh, yes. And here's what we can have, like, you know how we have to do this. You know how we have to make this catch on, Frank.
Yeah.
We need to start at the lowest level. We need to start at like Pee-wee or high school and take it up, because here's the thing.
Yeah.
There is a genuine concern that football might go away because of all this concussion stuff, and the it's never going to happen starting at the pro level because there's too much money in it. The way it's going to happen is you're going to have parents who don't want their kids to play anymore, and it'll trickle up. So we need to introduce this new version to the parents and be like, look, your kid's totally safe.
We'll actually, it'll be called Pro Gridiron, but it'll be called Pee-wee Safety Football.
Yeah, and also we won't
and it'll be, oh my God, Scott, it will be so expensive for these parents.
We're also going to avoid the obvious pitfall and misstep of putting a sensory feedback into the consciousness transfer. These kids aren't going to feel the pain.
No, not a chance. You just get a HUD. So I think that's really good. So we're essentially going to do a Bad News Bears underdog kid safety football story.
Okay, so now okay, I see what you're doing here. You want to do a movie because we sometimes do movies.
Because we can change format. So we're going to reboot real life
We're rebooting real life football, but we are creating a short informational
film kind of to get people hooked, right?
Yeah, to get people hooked about it.
Nobody played baseball until Angels in the Outfield came out.
That is 100%
and then
true.
I immediately went and joined Pee-wee.
Well, and also the weird thing is too that there was like a huge upsurge of born-again Christians after that movie as well.
Because Christopher Lloyd just brought it home. And that there is that like 20-minute scene where he just like gives a sermon and does the altar call. Yeah, dude.
And Joseph Gordon-Levitt like confesses his
people
sins.
Are eating it.
Yeah, Joseph Gordon-Levitt confesses his sins.
He's crying on screen. He said it was, and afterwards he said it was real.
Yeah,
So we got to get kids involved in Gridiron, which a feature film rated PG will probably accomplish.
Yeah. Now, where I was going with this is, what do we know that kids like?
Okay, Minecraft.
You got really close on the first try. I was just going to say video games in general. And what is it that we know? You brought up, Frank, that it's going to be very expensive for the parents, but what do we know about video games?
You can buy them used.
That's the opposite of what I'm getting at, because we need people to buy this new, but also, Frank, microtransactions and DLC. Nothing that will change the flow or balance of the game. Nothing to give players unfair advantages over each other.
All about those freemium cosmetics.
We are going to allow the kids to purchase different hats and heads and different stuff for one kid can have his robot have like Batman's head, and another kid can make his robot have the Master Chief's head. This is going to be
so good for this for the story. So say you're a parent and your child desperately wants to play Gridiron, aka safety football, aka Pee-wee safety football, but you just can't come up with a scratch. But wait, you go and talk to the school; they've got something for you. You can at a massively reduced rate, you can buy your child a company sponsored uniform. So all their cosmetics are locked to a selection that all feature the sponsored brands. But now this family can afford to send their kid to play Gridiron.
Yeah, because
but all the kids are like, oh, Frank, you have a sponsored uniform.
We'll make it free to play. F2P. That's the microtransaction model. Here is one thing I do want to add to this game. The Gridiron is suspended 50 feet in the air.
Easily.
I want these robots to have grappling hooks. Grappling arms. I want their right hand. I want the hand to be able to shoot off with a coil attached to it, so if they are forced out of the Gridiron, they can Spider-Man back up.
Oh yeah. There has to be some recovery.
Because the technology is just not there yet on the foot jets. That's enough to give them like good running, but it's just not there to stop
if they're
gravity.
if they're in a tumble or anything, it's not going to save them.
Right. Okay.
That's good.
how many? So in a football team, you normally have 10 dudes on the field per team.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then we also need to discuss scoring. How does scoring work?
Oh, right. So
first off, are we keeping it 10 bots on the field per team? So 20?
Yeah, I think that works.
We keep it there. So we can have, you've got your different positions. So if you're on offense, you've got your offensive linemen, you've got your wide receivers, your running backs, your quarterback. I genuinely don't know if a halfback and fullback are offensive positions.
So we need to figure out whether we reconfigure.
Yes.
So say there's 10 players, right? Mm-hmm. You have to set up an offensive line, and then obviously the team on defense has to set up their defensive line.
Correct.
But now you're three-dimensional. Does 10 still make the cut? Because you're now operating a football field across, but also a football field up and diagonally.
I think we don't want it to get too crowded. We want this still to be a sport that people can watch.
Yeah, and I guess remember, too, that the uniforms are going to be much faster, so I think we can keep it at 10. It's just that positions are now like, if you're kind of floating in the middle of the space and you're kind of floating in the top left instead of just being all laid out flat.
Yeah, I do think also we need to make the gridiron, maybe we keep it like that bright green, like the field. One is kind of like as a familiarity thing. Look, they're still playing on a green thing. And two, just we need them to look different from the robot. We can't have it just be chrome across the board. Mm-hmm. So in football, is it still a football? It's metal now, you said.
It is. It's got to be metal. It'll just get destroyed instantly.
Now, Wikipedia describes the football as a leather prolate spheroid. So we're going to make it a metal spheroid.
Yeah, I think it's going to keep the same classic shape, right? Mm-hmm.
Now, currently, football players do wear special gloves that make their fingers super grippy and easy to hold onto that ball. Do we allow them to put magnets in their robot hands?
I think that would work because it's going to be hard if you don't have any tactile feedback. It's going to be hard to really grab it out of the air by pure touch. So I think some magnets will probably be necessary.
Okay, follow up. Do we make the robots have magnets in their feet so can they run on top of the underside of the gridiron, or do they have to monkey bar swing?
They can run on the side. They can just do whatever they want. I love the magnet feet.
Well, so here's the thing. I love the magnet feet, but I also love the idea of no magnet feet where they have to be like Spider-Man monkey dangling everywhere. Yeah, that's also very cool.
No, okay, you're right. That's a much better mental picture.
Yeah, okay.
I really like the Tarzan gameplay.
I like that too. They could, now if they want, they can hang upside down from their legs. Absolutely. To leave their hands free to catch balls, but they,
Yeah. They don't have magnet feet necessarily, but they have feet clamps where they can plant themselves in any orientation.
Dude,
on the bar.
They got those. Yes, their feet aren't, because they're robots. They don't just look like human feet. They're like bird talons that can grasp. Oh man!
But you can still only hold the ball in your hands.
Yes. Now we will not give them strictly damaging offensive capabilities. This will be a full contact sport, but we're not going to allow you can't...
No chainsaws, no flamethrowers.
You can't have super sharp claws and shear off your opponent's arm or anything.
Yeah.
Now that said,
that will be a penalty.
If you knock an opponent out of the gridiron and he manages to grab the bar, but his momentum is so strong that his arm does rip off, that is allowed, and we'll just replace the arm.
That's his fault. That's if he tripped on his own.
And this is where we don't. This is why we don't put that sensory feedback in. We don't need our players feeling like their arms are getting ripped off.
No, that's not a good scene at all.
That is a mental anguish that we would not. And
that's why we're going to call it safety football.
Yeah,
for the kids.
Safety football for the kids. Oh, there's a lot of opportunities here. Okay, so let's talk about.
Do we want to? So we can expand the particulars of football too, I think, while we're discussing this film, if you want to do that.
Okay, yeah. So in the film, this is going to be your traditional.
So we've got the boys who wanted football.
Okay, so
I've actually got an article by the New York Film Academy, nyfa.edu. It's in their screenwriting student resources section, which I'm not sure. Google gave me access to it. I don't know if I'm supposed to, but it is a list of the required story beats of an underdog sports movie.
Oh, that's so good. Okay, so this is what I was going to ask. Are we doing an underdog sports movie, or are we showing a film where it's like, this is a world in which this sport exists. Look how amazing it is.
Oh, okay. Is it an underdog film, or is it like a Go Army hype film about how cool football 2 is?
Yeah, I think the underdog film, if I know if where I think you're going with is correct, I think I like this better. So tell me what you're thinking.
Yeah, so I want a, your classic. I want some scrappy underdog kids. They want to play football too, right? So they find, because it's not through public schools, I guess, yet, right?
You mean
Probably
football
not.
also? Because we're not calling this football number 2.
They want to play gridiron. They want to play safety football, which they all call gridiron because it's cooler.
Okay, so yours is kind of like both ideas. It's a world in which gridiron is the sport, and then there's kids who can't play it.
It's the scrappy tale of these kids who put it together.
Okay, can we change it a little bit and make gridiron new in the film? Because I think I think if we hit that emotional pressure point of football is being outlawed, fewer and fewer kids get to experience the joy of football and all the amazing life opportunities it provides. Like, we
get Garth Brooks to do a soundtrack.
Oh, we get Garth Brooks, we get Kenny Chesney, we get Keith Urban and his tractor, and the other one.
So we've got Gridiron is this like hot new thing that's coming out, right? And there's all these rich kids that you hate
and
are all
Kelly
just
Clarkson.
buying up these uniforms, right? Mm-hmm. And there's like a, this city.
Carrie Underwood, that's who I meant, not Kelly Clarkson.
We good?
And also, I can't think of another one.
All right, so these kids are in
6th grade?
Literally can't think of the name of like a fake high school. Yeah, 6th grade works. That's good. Yeah. Get it more Bad News Bears and less.
Yeah,
less
they're going to. Well, let's say 8th grade. So
8th grade.
They're
a little bit beef for puberty.
And then we can. Oh, geez, I just thought of the best selling point of this too, Frank. Because their minds are just inside robots. There's no reason boys and girls can't play, because then nobody's concerned about boys beating up on girls or girls kicking boys' asses, which is,
keep that in mind. We can really just channel the Mighty Ducks for that kind of thing.
Yes.
So, all right. So here's let's go through the New York Film Academy suggested story beats. Point 1: introduce the underdogs.
Yeah. So
we got a team of middle schoolers, and
they are it is a group of friends who basically are illegally playing football in their
football 1.
Football original. Yeah, so for the
OG football.
Going forward, if we say football, we mean current existing sport. Our new sport, we are sticking to calling it exclusively gridiron.
All right, we got that all set.
So they're illegally playing football. Schools do not let you play football. Parents don't like it, so they play football in secret. Mm-hmm. So that's where we introduce them. They all go to the same school. What's next?
So then,
give me beat 2.
All these they see TV commercials for how cool gridiron is.
I don't think so. That's what I was. Okay, so I was.
Oh, does a teacher stop them from playing?
That's
football?
What I think. I don't think gridiron exists yet. I think gridiron is in development. It comes out. It is. This is a.
Okay.
We're coming up with this new sport. Let's have these kids see how it goes. Look, all these kids want to play so bad. Although I do also, man.
Now here's an arc. Let's see if this works.
Yeah.
So, a teacher concerned for the safety of the kids busts them and stops them from playing football. Mm-hmm. And then he says, "Well, if you guys really want to play football, the NNFL, the new NFL, they're trying out this new experimental program that you can go and sign up for. I'll go with you. I'll be your coach if you really want to
This is a teacher who shuts them down, but he's not like the antagonist teacher. He's the friendly advisor teacher who cares deeply for these kids and doesn't want to see them hurt.
So then they go to the NNFL signups, right? So then story beat number 2 is show that they suck.
Yeah, but everybody sucks because nobody's used to controlling a robot yet.
I will see. This is one of the reasons I didn't want
because it's got to be an underdog.
Literally brand new. Yeah. I wanted it to be around for a few weeks because I want like rich kids to have we need the rich piloting kids. Practice and stuff.
Yep. Rich kids have like test rigs and stuff. Okay, yeah, I agree. Yeah. That works.
So they go to the tryouts where you get public uniform rigs and you get to like try stuff out or whatever, right? and these kids are bad. They just get stomped like repeatedly.
Mm-hmm.
So that brings us to story beat 3, which is set the goal.
And the goal is to if
is it all county championship? Is it?
I think it's
does the teacher make a bet with another coach about like you'll give us test rigs if we beat you at the state championship?
Yeah, I was gonna say it's like the winning school gets funded
gets a team of sponsored rigs.
I think the goal here needs to be getting Gridiron to replace football, like having Gridiron become the sport. And so because this is essentially a propaganda film that we will pitch to show, look, we should do Gridiron instead of football. We need the main message to be Gridiron has to succeed.
Yeah. So
maybe Gridiron just has to succeed by, okay, what if
the new NFL is giving like Gridiron equipment to schools to run public school Gridiron teams, and they're trying to like get it into the high schools and stuff?
Yeah, I think we go classic with it. And the antagonists are they're like a privately owned team who is trying to, if they win, they get to own the rights to Gridiron and sell it to schools.
Oh, it's like a private company.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think too, maybe we make them all former football players. Like we make football the villain.
Like adult men.
We just make football the villain. We make it like, look how bad football is.
All of these kids are being trained by old football stars.
Old football. So Frank, the old NFL gets a bunch of football players and they're like, hey, you need to win this game so we can just kill it. We'll take Gridiron and we'll take it away. We'll take it away. We'll make sure it never gets out.
They're literally fighting for the right for Gridiron to exist.
Yes.
At the Pee Wee level.
Yes.
All right, so we got our goal. Beat the football stars of Gridiron.
We can recognize the ridiculous plot hole there where in this situation, the rich NFL would totally recognize the profitability here. But
yeah, but that's not the point.
That's not the point. They're shutting down the community center.
So now we got the next story beat. So the team still sucks. But now story beat 4, bring in the guest star. Either the player or the surprise coach that will make them victorious.
When they suck too, it is going to be a very funny montage of like robots falling down and like one kid's like why am I running backwards? And
he throws a grappling hook through the chest of another guy and then drags them both down.
Yeah.
Somebody clamps onto the ceiling and then tries to jump but like can't and like doesn't know why they're stuck.
Oh, and you know what we will do? We will have them like accidentally do something cool. Like they'll like some clumsy guy will like grapple into somebody else and like somehow swing extra momentum and like throw him through something that gets them points accidentally. Yeah. And then the big championship game, that'll be like they'll
do it on purpose.
That'll be their finishing secret move. Yeah.
Yeah. Their like torso, their upper torso and their like lower torso can rotate independently. So he just does like a helicopter maneuver where he kicks the ball. He holds the ball with his hands, but then his lower half rotates and he kicks the person away. And then he backflips and then he clamps to the ceiling and throws the ball over the goalpost, which is...
Yes.
They haven't really established where the goalposts are in the cube, but they're there.
Okay, so...
we'll bring in our surprise star. I'm thinking we have a like kid that transfers into the school and knows how to pilot.
Surprise star, like they're cake eater from...
Yeah, not famous person.
Okay, so yeah, they just need a kid who... So if we could just rip from Mighty Ducks and be like, have a kid from another district, turned out he's playing for the wrong team because he was supposed to be put on the underdogs team.
Yeah.
And he resents them at first, but then they become all very good friends. Or maybe we make it a girl because we really do want to push, this is a all gender sport. You can
this is full open.
So
okay, good. Yeah, so this girl was at a all girls school playing Gridiron and then transferred to the public school.
How about this too, Frank? The team of we start out like following a group of boys, but then it's like basically the team we follow is a girls team and a boys team who are both like independently playing, and then they get combined and they all have to learn to work together. And
the school gets redistricted.
And that anyone can play sports.
Yes.
Anyone can play Gridiron.
They have to combine. And they combine where it's our defensive end sucks. Well, our offensive end sucks, and then they combine.
Yeah. Okay.
Or some whatever, they're each missing something, and then it fills in. So that actually flows into beat number 5, which is the team gets better in bonds.
Yeah, so the team needs to get better in bond. I do like the idea of a single, like...
I want them to all, once they combine, I want them to go to, like, some kind of camp training thing,
Yes, they do go to, like, a weekend camp or, like, a full week.
Yeah. Where they actually train for real without rigs.
And I think we do need 2 characters to put more front and center, and they can also be, like, the metaphor of the whole team's conflict. So they fight a lot just between the 2 of them. They have a more personal conflict than the rest of the team. Mm-hmm. But as they bond, so does the rest of the team.
And they just get real, and they start calling each other. This is where they get their nicknames, right? Mm-hmm. Yo, what's up, Stogie?
Yeah, or like they call each other like one person,
like riff raff,
one person,
Chubbins.
They basically, oh yeah, Frank, we go a little bit of Mech Warrior, Top Gun, whatever. Every player, instead of having just their last name printed on their jersey, they just have their cool code name. So there's like the one kid who's very good at all the climbing stuff. They call him Spider Monkey. There's the one kid,
and then there's like Wall Ride.
Yeah,
and basically we're gonna use Transformer names.
There's the one kid who throws the ball super good, and they call him Cannon Arms.
Yeah, Cannon Arms. Maybe they just call him like
Cannon Hole.
Because he.
So I want to talk about. Can we get into?
And we the one guy is Happy Feet because he's really good with the maneuvering.
He's got the dances too. He's got the
Happy Feet.
He's got the end zone dances. We do need to figure out how does the scoring and high level gameplay work.
Yeah, here's the trick though. Sports movies barely actually show actual sports, so I think we can get away with it.
But the problem is this is a propaganda film trying to pitch Gridiron. We need to show them some.
There is a, at either end of a cube.
Do we just put end zones in?
One of the squares that like various Gridiron posts make will light up yellow. And then if you get the ball through that's a touchdown. But the highlighted square on the back face of the scoring grid will change over time.
I think, so if it's just that, then it becomes just throwing the ball through the hole, which isn't necessarily bad, but I do want to keep the idea of you need to physically transfer the ball. Like you have to be taking the ball to that thing, like an end zone, but I don't know how to make an end zone in this 3D structure.
Yeah. What if I do like the idea of physically being there? Got it.
Here's another thing that I'm thinking. So when one player so in football, when a player has possession of the ball, aside from the only time you can throw a football forward is if you are behind the scrimmage line. Anybody can throw it, not just the quarterback, but the quarterback's the best thrower, so he does it. But in football, after the ball has passed the scrimmage line and a man is holding it and running with, he can run with it, or he can throw it. He can toss it backwards or laterally. He can't ever throw it forwards and gain progress, but he can throw it backwards or laterally. So, in Gridiron, do we make it so that they can't advance it forward after the first throw in a similar way?
I was just going to say, I think we can make it an actual enforcement via force fields that affect the ball.
Okay.
If you try to... so there's going to be like holographic three-dimensional plane of scrimmage, right? Because it's not a line anymore, it's a plane.
Mm-hmm.
If you try to throw the ball and you're on the other side of it, it will stay magneted to your hand because you can't, unless you're throwing it backwards.
The plane of scrimmage. I see. Okay.
And it'll just kind of move, And then I think we can do that with scoring as well. So while a uniform is holding the ball, it becomes electrically charged. If they try to throw the ball through the goalpost, it'll just bounce off the wall, and then it's just fair game, right? They have to be holding it and plunge it through the highlighted square.
What about this? Because so in football, right, we've got field goals and touchdowns. Mm-hmm. What if in Gridiron you can propel the ball forward, but only as an attempt on a field goal. Like, if you throw the ball forward, it has to be because you're trying to throw it through the hole. If another player on your team catches it, then it's a turnover because it counts as a pass, and that's not allowed after once you're past the scrimmage point.
So you can still whale it through, but if you plunge it through manually, then you get the full touchdown.
And whaling it through is less points than charging it through. Now, could they get around that by like... No, never mind. This is a dumb idea. But so here's my other thought on how this, I think a lot of gameplay would just naturally evolve here. While they're holding the ball, they got one hand occupied, right? And this is a sport where, I mean, they could just run on the bottom surface of the gridiron, but that makes, they could be accosted from all sides.
They're extremely exposed.
They're extremely exposed. So what if part of the way the sport works is... Instead of like, you can't pass the ball around, but you can pass the player around. And so he'll like jump and grab another player's arms who's dangling from the ceiling, and he'll like hurl him forward to like catch, and another player will catch him. And that'll be like a way people play to help move it faster, since the person holding the ball can't grapple around as easily because they're holding the ball.
Okay.
So you could...
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just spitballing here.
No. That's because then you can like drop kick somebody to send them farther along, but it's actually helping.
Yeah.
So let's get back. So let's get back to the propaganda film. So we've got our training, and so now we've got the final two steps are kind of a 1-2 punch. We've got the big game, and then once the big game resolves, we've got lessons learned.
Yeah. So maybe.
So our lessons learned, we already know this. Gridiron is the best. Football should die.
Yeah, gridiron should replace football. Let the kids play gridiron. What happened? Maybe we go further with it. I think we should play off of the common trope of like the bad guy quote team. It's the coaches and the people in charge that are the bad guys, but the actual players aren't. So we'll have a moment with like that team where they realize like, gridiron is better. We need to help. But I mean, I don't want them to throw the game, but I don't
want them to throw the game.
I almost want them to somehow win, and the letter of the rules is like the players themselves are the ones who win, and so then the players are like, no, we're not going to shut it down.
This is going to be we tried our hardest and that's what mattered.
We tried our hardest and that's what mattered, and then that made
But ultimately, gridiron won.
Right, gridiron won because the players who won the sport are like, sorry, coach, we're not going to shut this down. It's too important.
Mm-hmm. And they call up the kids from the public school, and then everyone is cheering, and they're all holding the trophy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is going to be good.
Yeah, that works.
I like the gridiron idea of robots in a 3-dimensional space a lot.
Yeah.
Are we not a comedy podcast anymore? Do we just come up with what we think would be awesome? I don't know. This was like
I don't know. Well, maybe next week will be a comedy podcast again. Yeah.
Okay. That'll do it, right? Are there any...
I think that gridiron is a fully complete sport in its own right.
Yeah, it's good. Okay, so that'll do it for us, everybody. Thank you so much for listening. We love to have you. If you like the show, please take a moment to give us a rating and review on Apple Podcasts. That helps us out a ton. We're also now on Spotify. If Spotify is where you would prefer to listen to your podcasts, you can find us there. Unfortunately, Spotify doesn't have like any sort of rating system at all, so you can basically just follow us, and I'm sure that's enough. But yeah, we're on Spotify if you want to find us there. Until next time, I'm Scott Owen.
I'm Frank Serra.
And Frank, what is our password for next week?
Our password for next week is